Hey, this is Dave Clark.
And this is Dusty Wells.
And
we love to tell the story.
We sure do. Hey, thank you so much for following this podcast like you have. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would appreciate it. It's a game changer for us. If you would, how do they do that, Dusty?
All they do is press subscribe now. Right now, just press the little button right there. Subscribe now.
What we want to talk to you about, we just finished filming a very, very special episode. It's an interview with a couple of legends.
The legendary Russ Taff and Joseph Habedank, two of the greatest vocalists.
Not only are they both great singers, but they share a story of their journey with addiction. And it's a heavy conversation. If you know someone who's dealing with this, we hope that this will be the kind of episode that you will share with them. They may need to know that they are not the only ones going through something like that.
That's exactly right. And everybody needs somebody around them, and everybody needs somebody to encourage someone. And you could be that person. You could be that person that could help someone. Right. So share it right now with someone.
So thank you again. Dusty?
Yes, sir. Here we are.
You want to introduce our guest?
I do. I was hoping you'd ask me. You know, I have to be careful about. I always say favorites.
You do always.
I always do say
everybody's
favorites.
Your favorite.
But these two, what I absolutely love is one I've known for 40 some odd years. Mm-hmm. Truly one of my favorite of all time, greatest, and thousands of other people. I know millions of other people this is their favorite singer of all time for male. Millions. And he is honestly one of my favorite. Yes, millions is really true.
Is that what I was supposed to say, Russ?
Yeah, exactly. And just one of my
and Joseph.
Well, let me just. I was gonna wait. Joseph knows I have to say something
I'm
about
not in
him.
the same class.
No. But Russ Taff, who we've been friends for years. I've gotten to sell every one of his records from the very beginning of the solo and even some of the Imperials. So that's really cool. And then truly one of my favorite in my top 2 or 3 vocalists of all times, the amazing Joseph Habedank, who I love his heart, his youth, his ministry. I was trying to think of something really, the way how tan he is like me.
Wait, I just want to know who your top 2 are.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 or 3. I don't know.
He honestly, Joseph is just
Dottie.
If you had said he's in my top 5, he would have wanted to know who the other 4 were. So
that's probably true. But here we have in this room with us, we have a legend who is still. I mean, he just told me he drove in from Champaign, Illinois, and had been up there for 3 days doing concerts. He just drove here and stopped here to do this. Wow. And then you have Joseph. I mean, you have Russ Taff, the legend, and you have Joseph, who's one of the most loved artists as far as a male vocalist of all times. Yeah. And we have them together to tell an incredible story.
And for people who just tuning in right now, it would seem like an odd pairing, but there's a reason why you both are here, and
we're definitely odd. I'll tell you that.
Well, the thing that worries me is they're both so
quick.
The quick and the Russ Taff comical error, and then the Joseph, add that in together, we're in trouble.
Yes,
you may not get to talk as much as you normally do.
Well, and you know what
Thank God.
I was thinking about it coming in here tonight. There's some things that you both have in common that would explain why the chemistry is so good. I mean, Russ has won 6 Grammys, and Joseph's been nominated for some.
I've lost twice. So
Dave,
a lot in common.
You can't bring that kind of stuff.
I've lost more than I've won. Let me just tell you.
And there's some more. I mean, there's like. Russ sang with the Gaither Vocal Band, and Joseph auditioned for him. I mean, there's all kind of parallels.
Joseph, I'm sorry.
Did you know that? Did you know it? Yeah. Right when I got out of treatment.
And who had lunch with you the day you went to audition for the Gaither Vocal
Dusty
Band? And
Wells.
I said,
you're
going to do so good.
He cursed me. He cursed us why I didn't get the job.
But seriously, it is an honor to have you both here. And let's peel back a little bit to some career stuff, just to kind of set the table. And Joseph, you've been on here before and told your story, and you kid my wife and I about being our prodigal
son. Yeah, I am their prodigal son.
and we have felt like family with you. Russ, I just met you. Dusty's talked about how long he'd known you, but I met you a couple weeks ago at a GMA event at Station Inn.
Joseph's event there at the
Station Inn.
Station Inn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great event. You pulled in some great artists.
And there are a couple other spots where we have been in the same proximity, but I was too nervous to even.
Oh, shoot.
One was right out here in this hall several months ago. You were out here for something, and I was standing there, and it was just the two of us, and I went, can't do it. Nope.
Oh,
Can't.
man.
And the other was Joseph's first listening party.
Oh yeah, you were there. You were sick. I don't know if you remember that, but you were really sick. You had the flu. It was my first album.
Yeah.
We did a song called "Empty" on my first album.
I remember.
Yeah.
And we actually did it. We recorded it in this room. And
I had the flu. I remember that.
you
There was
sick
a
as
release
dog.
party that night
Yeah.
in downtown that you had asked me to introduce you as the only songwriter in the place who didn't have a cut on the record. But I wasn't bitter. I was there.
I just like to patronize you every now and again.
Well, I thought the other day, I was thinking the other day at the museum of all places, because I was looking at a lot of the stuff, and Russ's daughter works at the museum, and she's amazing. She said, when did you meet my dad? And I said, well, I met him probably with Reba and Donnie. Yes, there's my Rambo connection.
So that means you probably met him before she did. Really?
Oh, yeah.
His daughter, yeah.
But what I didn't tell her, but I got to thinking about later, driving home, I was 19 or 20 years old, and the Imperials had just brought out the record One More Song for You.
Yeah.
And they came to an Assembly of God church in Twin Falls, Idaho.
Wow.
I went and bought a 3-piece white suit. I have never told Russ this story. And I loved the movie Saturday Night
Fantasy
Fever.
Island.
Yes.
Passion of the Christ.
You look like tattoos.
Saturday Night Fever. I loved it, but I waited when I saw that the Imperials had white 3-piece suits on, which I think black shirts and no ties.
No.
I thought I've got it, and I went and bought it, and I wore it that night
That's
to the
great.
concert. And I remember though my mom. I've never told this story hardly at all. I mean, I may have told it. My mom worked at a hotel motel in Twin Falls, Idaho. And she knew I loved Christian music. At this point, I'd been a Christian maybe 4 or 5 years, 6 years. And all I did was talk about Christian music. So she called me at home and she said, Dusty, there is a bus outside this hotel and it says the Imperials. And I said, are you serious? I'm such a goober. I went down to that hotel. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I honestly, Russ, I went into the restaurant and you and Armand and Dave Wills were sitting at the counter. And I sat about 3 seats away from him and just stared at him. And that is a hand before Jesus story. And I thought, that's the Imperials. And that night I went to the concert. It was packed out. I
And
thought
when you got to the concert, security was waiting
probably
on you.
so.
They said, that's
I
the
did.
kid that was staring
I sat
at us.
3 seats down.
That's great.
And I remember I had a little Polaroid camera, but I was too afraid to.
And you didn't say hello?
No,
Oh.
I thought you were going to say you knocked on the bus door. That feels
No,
like
I did not do that. But that was
Russ, are you in there?
Yeah, that was probably my second or third concert that I'd been to, and man, the Imperials music, and then Russ with all what he's done, and
So-
of course Joseph.
We've been talking a lot the last few weeks on the show about the museum, the Hall of Fame, and you walk in the door. I'm assuming you've been there, Joseph. Have you been yet?
I haven't been yet. No.
We want to go with you. We want to walk through it with you.
Russ actually was artist, and you're the artist in residence, right?
Yep.
So when you walk in, I got to tell you, one of the coolest things to see, besides Amy Grant's coat, was the medals jacket.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
How did that make you feel when you knew it was going in there? But how did it feel to see it and go, you know what, we mattered?
Well, there was almost like kind of a disconnect. I'm looking in there, but it was like a disconnect, like, because I've never seen myself in that suit. I mean, unless I looked in the mirror and it wasn't full length. But to see the whole thing, it was just a beautiful suit.
Well, and so many of the young. I was when I was.
It's purple, right? Or
It's
yellow?
blue. It's bright blue, and he had yellow, and it has
A
the
yellow
medals.
T-shirt.
Everybody wanted it. I mean, I'm not joking. People wanted that jacket. It's just like the Amy Grant,
Yeah.
the leopard print jacket. That was The records were incredible, all the awards they won, but the covers were just
they were iconic
phenomenal for what back then.
So that was released 40 years ago this year, right?
Medals, 1985. So
Yeah, 40 years.
40 years.
The year I was born.
Gee whiz.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay. I mean, that's crazy.
Think about that.
Insane, man.
40 years ago, and anybody, I saw the crowd stopping to just look at it. And
Yeah.
and you say you'd never seen this suit.
I'd seen it hanging, but I mean, like
Yeah.
they had the record cover, the back
Yep,
of it.
yep,
Then they had a
yep.
photo.
Yeah.
And then right beside was Lauren Daigle's.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was overpowering
It
to
is,
me to
yeah.
see all the different exhibits and the history.
Yeah.
And because we've been talking about this, Dusty, for 90 years
at
about getting
least,
this thing.
yeah.
And so to see Reba and all the people that we know, Amy's jacket.
But you,
and,
so what was the favorite thing that was not you? What, I mean, when you looked around, what did you, was it the console of Chris Christian, or what was it that you said, wow?
well, when I saw the console, and of course they had Amy, but
Yep.
on that console we cut "Praise the Lord."
That's and it says that on there.
Wow.
yeah,
There's
the
a little
first
sign. Yep.
the
I
first
forgot
three
about that.
records
Yeah.
of the Imperials was made on that. So just looking at that, and I always thought it was a lot bigger
Same here.
until I saw it in there.
I
And
thought
it
you
was
were
just,
too. So, I mean, that's,
Okay, Dave.
let's just take this right down the hole.
It's just on a roll tonight.
No, but
when they hung your suit up, did you ask him to buff it up a little bit?
So did you have that suit? Did you give him the suit?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you still had it?
Yeah, Tori hung on to it
Which
because I
is
tell you
brilliant, which
the
is brilliant.
and I still have that black jacket from on the beach, that black and white one.
Which, from
Tori
the
hung
long
on to
way,
that.
Russ Taff record, which
Yeah. Is that-
everybody
I
wants.
still believe.
No, Russ Taff.
That has
Russ
a song
Taff.
I still
I
believe
still
on.
believe
Yes,
on it.
yes.
Yeah.
But that
the
jacket
gray
where
record.
it's and his hair is grown real long.
Tori hung on to that one
Yeah.
also.
Crazy.
I mean, that to me, that was such a career record for you. I mean,
Yeah.
Walls of Glass is still one of my favorite records.
Yeah.
Because it was his first record,
Yeah.
and it was just there's some great songs, medals, but Russ Taff. That's
What's your favorite of your favorite work as far as your solo
Well,
albums
that's
go?
a good question. That's so.
You know, I the first records I was so nervous because I just left the Imperials and stepping out, and you don't know if you're going to have solid ground or not. I mean, because you're leaving a super group to go out on your own. Everybody knew Praise the Lord, but they didn't know my name unless they looked at liners. So for that record to come out, and O'Martin was going to produce it, but he had just Christopher Cross just exploded. Sailing takes me away, and so we had met pre-production, and he was under contract with Warner Brothers, and they said you've got the new other Chris Cross record. There's too much momentum. So Michael called and said I can't do it, and he had Bill Schnee fly to Nashville, and we met with him, but. You know, I was so excited about that because with the Imperials, you know, it was like Brown would cut all the tracks and do all the overdubs, and we would fly in for a week and sing, and then fly back out again. And I was so excited to be able to do a record from the beginning, from a song that you wrote to there, and then to watch it get mixed. I'd never seen that before, and I was so excited, but I was also terrified. Sure. Because it could have just bellied up, but it wound up winning a Grammy, and that just kind of set the course for the whole thing. But my favorite, I think, Medals is just full of great songs. I mean, iconic songs that would last. But Vince, we're going to jump right into Addiction in a minute. I was 6 months sober when it was time to do the Russ Taff record. And we didn't know what it was going to be. I couldn't write. I was just trying to go through 24 hours without drinking, and I was just hanging on and going to 2 meetings a day. And the record company, we got to follow up Medals, the momentum, and I tried to get out of it. I wasn't ready. I was just not ready to make a record, and I mean, I couldn't write. I mean, I was just, my brain was trying, and you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, just trying to get your life back to normal.
So
trying
vulnerable.
yeah, and what normal is anyway. And so there's a buddy of mine in the program, and I can mention his name because he's talked about his addiction. His name was John Hyatt, and he's a great writer here in town. And I said, I don't know what to do. You know, they're want me to go. I'm trying to keep the story from getting out that I've been in treatment. And back then, you just didn't know if people would celebrate or crucify you. And it was the same with the documentary. I sweated that like crazy. But I went out to California and just trusting those around me. That's what he said. Just trust those around you. And again, I was just like, okay, God, you know, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And we were at Newport Beach at a hotel there, pre-production, and Lynn Nichols was there. And he goes, I want to play you a song. And he played that song, I Still Believe. Through the pain, through the heartache, through the lies, through the storms, through the cries, through the wars, I still believe. And I started crying. And I said, if I could write a song right now, it would be that through everything that I've been through, I do believe.
Yeah.
You know, still trying to figure out who Jesus is and separate Jesus from that Pentecostal Jesus I grew up with that didn't like me very much. But that was probably one of the most honest records. And because I remember back during that time, everything was PTL. We're blessed, we're blessed, we're blessed, we are
So
blessed.
true, so true.
And then here I come, you know, down in the lowlands, hear my cry, save me. It's like I'm dying. And I don't know if my marriage is going to survive. And when we did a listening party, nobody at the record company really even applauded. They were in shock because they were expecting medals too.
Right.
But I wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And so I remember Tori asked me, do you want to be this honest? And I said, I've got to be, because this program, honesty is the only thing that's going to keep me sober. And I can't sing about something that... So that record was just full. And I get more comments all these years later. Well, both medals and the self-titled one. But I can't tell you of the pastors that have called me up. Even my own pastor here, you know, that when they go through stuff and there was just songs on there. And Joseph is that same kind of writer where you feel what he's talking about, and you get... you will be like this 20 years from now, where they'll go that record and that record and that record and that vocal and that song that you wrote. But I don't know. That was a hard one to make. But looking back on it, it brought hope. Also, it gave hope.
Sure.
You know?
I was there at that listening party.
Were you really?
And I remember it was being...
So that would have been Lauren Ballman?
Lauren Ballman was there. Roland was there. I remember there's been 2 listening parties parties where you go in and you listen and you expect, and I remember us all thinking, this is heavy.
Was it just really raw?
It was raw, and it was the song production. You knew it was a great record.
But it went a little...
But you didn't... A lot of us that raised in that Pentecostal, whatever, you didn't deal with a lot of your stuff, and you wanted the happy-go-lucky, the we all need medals, the dance, I mean, you had a lot of that stuff that was taking place out there in Christian music. And here's Russ, who's been very broken.
So the record company didn't know the songs or the production style until they heard it.
No.
I love that.
I can think of 2 records: Amy Grant's "Behind the Eyes" and Russ Taff. I always say 2 of the most
Behind the Eyes was so...
And
was that after the divorce?
yes,
Okay.
and she was raw, but
Yeah.
Russ to me said that it just...
As awful as it sounds, I'm a huge Christopherson fan. As
my
awful
Lord,
as it sounds, but the best record I think he ever wrote was called "To the Bone."
Oh yeah.
And it was right after the divorce from Rita.
Yeah.
And I was raised in a pretty conservative. I didn't know that I had ever known anybody that was divorced when I heard that record. And I remember riding a bus up the highway in California to San Francisco, listening to that for the first time on a cassette, and just thinking, it made me feel like I felt everything, and that's what. So I go back and I look at those credits, and a lot of those songs you were writing with Tori.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a tough time. I'm assuming at your home, were the songs was that the healing place?
Well, it was a beginning place.
The beginning.
We wrote a whole lot of medals together, but I got out of treatment, and I didn't know if the marriage would survive. And there's a song on there I wrote called "Healing Touch," and basically I'm begging Tori to stay. You know, I'm just begging her to stay. And she is a great lyricist, but that record, I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, when I left treatment, I didn't know if she'd be there or not. You know what that feels like?
I do.
You know, you just don't know, and it's scary, but you have to walk this path, otherwise you're going to die, and you know you will. Yeah. But yeah, that record was a hard one to write, but also looking back, it was the start of therapy. It was the start of marriage counseling, and it's like I heard this doctor say one time. Well, he said you can't change what you don't acknowledge, and I was just mirrored face to who I was and how dangerous I was to myself and to Tori. I was volatile. I loved Jesus with everything in me, but. You know, when you're raised, I'm talking a whole lot. I apologize, man. When you're raised with a Pentecostal God, and my mom and dad loved Jesus, but the God they served was judgmental, hard, couldn't please him. If you fasted 3 days, you should have fasted 5, and you were always this far from going to hell. I mean, if you're driving a car,
Dusty still is.
Yeah.
Amen.
But I mean, you were never secure. You were just, and so you walked the altar every Sunday because
I have said for years, and I'm not going to curse on this, but I've said for years, you could have lived this is how I always felt after getting saved in a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
I could be doing the greatest work, winning people to the Lord. I could be at the altar and just prayed through. But if I walked out and if I would have said a cuss word and Jesus came right then, I was going to hell. That's how I believed for 9 years.
Yeah.
That's a horrible way to live.
It is. There's no peace. There's just no.
So, in the process of that journey, and you're doing records, you're worried. I remember all the stuff with the United, or the not United. What was the big concert that Postma did that?
I don't remember the name of
Timeless.
it. Timeless, yeah, because there was like Dallas Home, Lord, First Call.
I forgot about that.
And that was kind of a low point.
Oh, good Lord,
what you were going through, and I've read some of that stuff, and I just think the weight of there's an old Bobby Bear song from years ago.
Do people know who Bobby Bear is?
That said, you know who Bobby Bear is.
Good Lord,
But the song was,
Joe doesn't.
Nashville is rough on its living, but she sure speaks well of the dead.
That's good.
And what that was talking about was, everybody keep at a distance from you. So you're battling that. Okay, is this the end of everything? And then you're battling I never measured up to my parents, and all this will do is confirm. And you're sitting next to a guy who's got similar fears and worries. And then when you start learning how to hide things.
Oh, my Lord, yes.
I went a few weeks ago, and I got to tell you, all of this is new to me. I'm blessed. It's not a holier than thou or better than thou or luckier. I was never around that, was never exposed to it. I went about 6 weeks ago, maybe, with Joseph to a recovery group. And it's the first time I'd ever been around that. And it absolutely wrecked me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have ever felt safer.
Yeah.
And Joseph walked in and he told his story. And there were things you said that night to that group that I had never heard. One of them was that you didn't, when you were in the middle of all that dark, it wasn't that you wanted what a buzz gave you, I think were your words, but the buzz made you feel normal.
You want to feel normal. Yeah.
And everybody at the tables was like, they got it. And I'm looking around going, oh, thank you, Lord, that I'm just now hearing about this. But you, because I mean, you were Christian Don Henley. You were just rocking the planet with those vocals. That also had to have increased the pressure of being found out to a higher place. Is that right?
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, I remember, growing up as a pastor's son and then 7 years old, finding my dad drunk and not knowing what it was, and you have to lie. Because the church people are, what's wrong? Well, he's got the flu, and he's laying in the back bedroom drunk. And so at a very early age, you learn how to lie to protect your family. And so,
I mean, that's just a lot. Do I remember right that you left church to go get your dad and found him that he was late for church?
Yeah, I was 7, and I didn't know what drunk was. And he worked repairing farm machinery, and we lived about a half a block. And Mom said, go tell Dad the church has started. He needs to get down here because he's supposed to preach that night. And I go into our little shotgun house, and I hear singing in the back bedroom, his bedroom, and it was so bizarre. And it scared me. We believed in demons, and I thought, my God, my dad is, and I tiptoed. I was afraid to look in there, and I looked around the corner, and it was him, just sprawled out in bed, just singing and slurring, and I ran back to the church, and I said, Mom, something's wrong with Dad. Something's wrong, and so she followed me back, and when she walked in there, I heard her just cry out, oh, Joe, what have you done? And I found out he was an alcoholic before he became Christian. And he had fallen off the wagon, and they voted us out of the church. And then, but it was only 20 people. Nobody else wanted a pastor. I mean, no pay, but he loved to preach. And so they would let him back in there. And then when I was 13, was the end. I mean, church said, no more. We just can't. But there was nobody I could talk to because Sunday night was my deal. I would learn a song on guitar. Right. I couldn't play sports. I was short and slow, but I would learn a song like Dottie. I could play her songs, Dottie Rambo. Bill Gaither, he would get a little fancy with some of those chords, but Dottie. And so I would, Sunday night, there would be time, and I would take 5 minutes, and I would do my song. But they voted Daddy out. I was 13, and Mom made me go down to the church to hear what everybody said so I could go back and tell her. Because it was like, control it. And so I just sat through the meeting and cried, not knowing what was going on. And I knew that there was something really bad going on in our home. And I was terrified of Dad because he would just change. But I go home and I tell Mom Friday night. And so Sunday night, I got my guitar. And I was heading down to the church, and my uncle took over, and I walked in the front door, and he grabbed me by the arm, and he said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, Uncle, I've come to sing my song. And he said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I said, Uncle, I didn't do anything wrong. And he goes, I don't care. You're his son, and we don't want you here. And so I turn around, and I just walk back home, but there was nobody to say, Russ, how you doing? And everybody walked away from us, and we were just, anyway, but going
plays with your mind.
Oh, good Lord, you don't feel worthy of anything.
No.
Okay, so let's kind of pause your story right there. I'm going to get back to it.
That's all right.
Now, Joseph, again, I've heard your story and know it probably better than I know most. What's your earliest memory of this guy?
It's crazy because I didn't realize how influential, huge he was in the 80s, because I was a little boy. So,
or not even born yet.
And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful at all.
That's
that's
true.
just the reality of it.
That's
So
true.
I knew Russ from the Gaither Vocal Band, because that was my childhood.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that was my first. He did a song called "The Really Good News." It was about basically really doesn't matter what's on the news. The big news is what's happening at home.
Yeah.
That's what matters. And I think Maddie's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that was my first. I was at the Quartet convention.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So I it wasn't until we became friends and he became my sponsor that I started learning
Did you
about.
know any of his story? Had you heard anything later before you got to know him?
I don't even know that I knew that he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I hadn't. I really didn't know, because he was in a different world, right? Because he's from the CCM Gaither world. I'm kind of over here in the Southern world, and they do kind of come together sometime, but we just never crossed paths.
Yeah, I mean, all the shows were and the conventions, and then we got festivals. We didn't cross a whole lot.
Yeah.
We didn't. I didn't know him.
So, your story, and it's you. The both of you have been very open about your journeys. So you end up at a place called Cumberland Heights.
Yeah.
And what part of what led to tonight, I was sitting at a table, is the night at Station Inn when I heard you sing, and you said that he had been your sponsor. And I'm trying to think in my mind, what does that look like? Because if I remember right, you'd been to Cumberland Heights 2 or 3 times.
Twice I went to Cumberland Heights.
But you ended up in, what was it,
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Santa Fe, New Mexico at Life Healing Center. Mm-hmm. And that was where everything changed from you. So how did you get back to Nashville on a list where they would think to call you for somebody like Joseph?
My sponsor for years was Walt Quinn. And we had been friends since Word Records back in the 70s. And he was my sponsor. And John Hyatt and another one. I mean, you kind of go through them as you mature. But shoot. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How did you keep the connection with Cumberland Heights?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If you ended up at Santa Fe, that was the game.
You're doing great. This is awesome.
They knew that Joseph was a gospel singer.
Okay.
And nobody was coming out to see him. Wow. And Sunday was a day that people could come and visit, but nobody was coming. And he was alone. And I know what that feels like. And so Walt, who was on staff there, called me up and he said, there is a gospel singer here, and would you come out and talk to him? And so I came out, I think it was on a Sunday afternoon, and we just began to talk, and we became friends. And then we took him to meetings when he got out, and we would just hang out a whole lot.
Unbelievable.
Going to meetings together, having coffee together.
But
it was
really
a God
surprised.
thing. But go ahead.
Were you surprised?
I remember.
Did you realize who it was when he came out and everything? I mean,
well, when I checked in, Walt said, "Do you know who Russ Taff is?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who he is." He said, "Well, he's kind of he's in recovery," and I think that was all he said. And I thought, "Oh, that's cool,"
Yeah.
So it was a few weeks later. I didn't know Russ was coming, but Walt had called him and said, "Hey, there's a kid here that kind of needs somebody," and Russ just came out, and that's not an easy drive. It's probably an hour and a half drive. So he gets in the car, comes up, and I didn't know he was coming. So somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, you got somebody at lunch that's here to see you." And I thought, okay, I didn't know who it was. So I walk in and it's Russ, and we just had lunch together, and kind of like similar to Dave. I was a little intimidated. And you're embarrassed, right? You're ashamed.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, it's just normal. But in the moment, you just feel just like, what man, of all places to meet Russ Taff. I got to meet him in the lowest point of my life. But I was so grateful he was there. And he said, "What are you doing after lunch?" And I said, "Oh, I've got I've got like a group meeting. He said, well, if you're not going to get in trouble, he said, I want to take you out and talk to you. So he took me right outside of my dorm, and I said, hey, they tell me I need a sponsor. I said, would you be my sponsor? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so he gave me his number, and I remember him telling me, here's my cell number, but I don't have good signal at the house. So, and he said, so here's my phone number. If you can't get my cell, you call my home. And one of the most powerful things he told me was, and I don't even know if you remember this, and it goes back to what he was just saying. He said, God's always loved you. He said, but he's crazy about you now. And no, I mean, nobody ever told me God was crazy about me. Nobody. And it rocked my world. It really did.
I'm still sitting here going, the fact that you were out there and nobody was coming to see you, my heart's breaking.
Mine too.
We didn't know you then.
Yeah, it's just hard. People don't. When you go through addiction, you become a liar, and you become a thief, and you become a con, and nobody really wants to hang out with those kind of people.
Well, and they're ashamed of you.
Yeah, they are.
They're just ashamed, and they don't.
And there's that thing, and I'm not putting down our industry, but a lot of
They don't know what to do.
they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say, and then a lot of times
Which is so
people
stupid
that
of us.
are
Yeah.
the ones that are afraid, you find out later that they had their own story.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
and
That's
and
exactly
you go,
right.
we don't know what to do with that. But there are so many things that both of you that you have in common, that God put stuff in your path at the right time. I remember, is it a turtle with Maddie? There's a great story about a turtle and a story about a baseball, and with Joseph, there were stories that Paul Williams.
Yeah. Do you know Paul Williams? You know Paul Williams. So
Share that story.
So this is the power of the program that we work. The record company president, his name's Ed Leonard. I've been with Damon Records for almost 25 years, and which is crazy because I'm only 40. But I started recording here when I was 17 years old. But anyway, so Ed was at a meeting, like a big industry thing, and Paul Williams was there because Paul's the head of ASCAP, or he was. I don't know if he still is. And Paul Williams wrote "We've Only Just Begun" and "Rainbow Connection." He was a huge artist. What was the other? There was anyway, a legendary writer.
He touched me.
Yeah.
No,
That was another
Paul's
legend.
got
Scotty
better.
Rambo.
Paul's got better hair than the writer of that. No, I'm teasing. But he'll never.
All right.
Bill will never hear this anyway. So Dad goes up to Paul Williams and says, "Hey, I heard you're in recovery." He said, "I got a guy at our label that just got clean and sober." And so Paul Williams says, "Well, hand me your phone. I'm gonna record him a message." So Paul Williams sends me a message, gives me his cell phone number.
Wow.
And I reach out to him, start, talking to him. And he says, "Hey, you going to be out in California anytime soon?" I said, "Yeah, I'm coming out there on tour in a few weeks." And he said, "Let's go to a meeting." So I went to a meeting with Paul Williams on a beach.
Have you heard this?
No.
At Huntington Beach. We sat in a circle in the sand.
Oh, wow.
And then when we got done, he said, "Let's go to lunch." So we sat down at lunch, and that was one of the last times I ever talked to him, just because I didn't want to. He's such an icon that I didn't want to overstep. I'll be flipping through. He's an actor too, so I'll be flipping through TV, and he'll be on there, and it's just crazy. I mean, and I got to say this about Russ though. So he was talking about I still believe. So I get out of rehab, I start calling him every day. That was part of the thing. You call every day, just to check in. And one day I called him. He said, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm doing pretty good." And I don't know if you remember this, but he said, "I tell you what, and he said it in the nicest way possible, but it was one of the best things he ever said. He said, "If you're going to call and tell me everything's okay every day, there's no need for you to call me."
Wow.
He said, "You need to tell the truth. You're not okay." And so I started telling the truth, what I was facing, the shame and my marriage, and trying to figure out if I was ever going to sing again. But he introduced me to the song "I Still Believe." And the first line says, "I've been out in a cave for 40 days. And I thought, that's rehab.
Wow.
That's rehab. Been out in a cave
Yeah.
for 40 days. And that
It's
kind of
so-
became my anthem through my recovery. I'd listen to I Still Believe all the way to, I'd go to these meetings and I'd listen to I Still Believe the whole way there, whole way back. And yeah, so that was kind of how we started our crazy relationship.
Wow.
And it was before I ever had a record deal and then the solo thing just kind of started happening. And Russ, was always encouraging. He took me out on the road. You remember? Tell him the story. You remember the story about taking me out and having me sing?
I was going to Kentucky and to do a concert at a church, and I said, if you're not doing anything this weekend, just hop in the car and go with me. And so we drove up there, and I kind of shamed you into getting up there and sing because you wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
you were sitting in the back going like this, and I said, wouldn't you love to hear Joseph sing a song? Of course, everybody. And he gets up there with his head down, and he begins to sing, and that anointing comes over him that he didn't think he'd ever feel again. And all of a sudden, it was just like this. And it was like the Holy Spirit saying, you're mine, you're mine. Don't forget, you're mine. And I'd never, just his face, his body, everything, when he began to sing, that gift that God gave him. Yeah. And then working through the shame and everything, and he stands up there, and I saw the presence of Jesus just kind of just surround him like that, and he began to sing, and my God, the place just, all of us, I was just crying and clapping.
I bet.
That was a special memory, because I don't, at that point, I didn't know if I'd ever sing again, and here's Russ Taff saying, hey, why don't you come out on the road and just sing? Actually, he didn't tell me I was going to sing. He said, just come out on the road. And then, he pulls me up there, and yeah, it was that moment of, okay, yeah, I guess I could still sing.
God can still use me.
Yeah, God can still
Somebody said something to me recently, and I'm going to just throw this out because I've been trying to process it, and I don't really know what to make of it. But I'd love to get you guys both your take on this. It was a good friend of mine recently, and he was talking about his son, and again, another one raised in church and ended up with a struggle, and he said the lesson that he learned in that with his son is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's community.
Oof.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
What do you think when you hear something like that?
Isolation. The first thing I learned, and Russ taught me this too, is we isolate. Yeah. And I think there's two reasons we isolate. This is my opinion. One is, the drug makes you, or the alcohol makes you not really want to be around people. But my theory was always, I didn't want anybody to ruin my high. Yeah. Anybody that could, I wanted to hide.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't want to get stoned in front of people. You don't want to get drunk in front of people. But when you're alone, what Keith Urban's got a song says, nobody drinks alone. Yeah. Talking about the demons, every demon, every ghost. Yeah, he does. But you try to isolate, and it's a big deal. I remember Russ telling a story about going to his hotel room and cleaning out a mini bar and probably more than once. And yeah, that's what we do. We hide and isolate. So there is no community because the disease of addiction doesn't allow for that. That's the reality.
There were AA was started in 1935 by back before then they would just put them in like a sanitarium, sober them up 3-4 days, and then put them back out on the street. There was just nothing they could do for alcoholics, and a lot of them were just written off and wound up dead or in a loony bin or whatever. But there was a guy called Dr. Bob and Bill W., and both of them were alcoholics, and they got together one day and just talked about it, talked about what it felt like, what they were doing, why they did it, and well, let's do this again tomorrow. And they did. And well, let's do this again tomorrow. And then, well, let's invite a friend. But it was them talking about it every day and building a community. Mm-hmm. And they realized, well, we didn't drink it in this last 24 hours. Let's do it again tomorrow. Wow. And more people begin to come in, and more people begin to come in, and now it's all over the world. But, you know, that was the first place I ever felt accepted. Because I hid. I just hid. Because even you're not putting alcohol in me, I grew up crazy. I mean, I grew up in a home that was just, and so you take the alcohol away, and I'm still crazy. But in those rooms, I was allowed to be broken. I was allowed and accepted to be broken, and it was okay. And I'd never felt that feeling before.
If I remember right, there's a story that you had to draw a picture of your Jesus at some point. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that picture was his hands on you, but you were looking down in the picture. Is that correct?
Well, it's when I went to Life Healing Center. My therapist said, because I had 10 years sobriety and Dad dies, I relapse. I had 9 years sobriety. Mom dies, I relapse. And that's when I walked on stage drunk, and I swore I would never, ever do that. But I came home from that funeral, just nothing resolved between my dad or my mom, and anger. I mean, just anger, and I didn't want to. Well, I'll call my sponsor and walk through this. I wanted to stop right now, and so I blew my world up again. And the marriage counselor we were seeing, she said, until you deal with the trauma of your childhood, you'll never stay sober. Every time a family member dies, with all of that stuff from your childhood, and so I go to this place called Life Healing Center, and it was dual diagnosis. For me, it was alcohol and childhood trauma. And when I first got there, they had me draw a picture of Jesus, of my higher power. Because in AA, you have Muslims, you have Jews, you have, and we all need a higher power. And of course, for us, it's Jesus. That's my higher power. And I drew it, and it was like a stick figure. I can't draw very well. But after 2 weeks of just group meetings and in treatment, there's individual counseling, then there's group therapy, just trying to figure out what alcoholism is and what childhood trauma does to us, and it just, our brain has to be completely rewired from the trauma. And they said, after 2 weeks, they said, bring your picture of Jesus. You're going to need him today. And I did. I mean, I go in there and I sit across from the main counselor, therapist, and he pulled up a chair right beside me and he put that picture of Jesus just right beside me.
Goodness sakes.
And they had somehow built a filter in me. And the only way I can describe it is if there was a wall of gum wrappers just thrown up against there, and it went all the way to the ceiling, and there's thousands of them. They were able to go back to your very first memories. And when you do that, well, more memories come. But it's like this filter that they had built of acceptance, where I would take one gum wrapper and run it through this filter and lay it over there. 3 weeks, memory, and running it through. And after 3 weeks of crying every day, I didn't hate my parents anymore. I saw them as victims. They were victims like me. They struggled, and they so anyway, that's what I just know that there as I believe this, Joseph, and I don't know exactly how you think about it, but there are reasons why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
And people say, well, we're just, a doctor gives you a hydrocodone and 3 weeks later, there is a reason we try to numb our reality.
I believe that.
And alter our reality. I know, I knew when something major would happen or whatever, I knew within 7 minutes it would go away. And I would just turn up a bottle of vodka and everything went numb. And
one of the things, another thing that, Dusty, interrupt me if I'm one of the things that you both share in common are pretty powerful women that you both married well, and I don't know Tori, I've never met her, but I know Joseph married way up.
I did too.
He did too.
I did too.
The difference in the story is your entire journey of what you went through, she was there from the beginning. And with Lindsay, it was kind of right at the end that she came in the middle of it, and they both had to work through. And I told Joseph the only thing better than this interview would be to sit down with Tori and Lindsay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But even the place, Joseph talks about the night that everything broke loose, that everybody left and she came back. And one of the most powerful pieces of your story was when Tori dropped you off at Life Healing Center, and she went to a bed and breakfast. Am I remembering this right? And the next morning, and I'll let you tell it, but there was a couple that God put at that table the next morning. Is that right?
Yeah, they asked her to travel with me there because I could have just broken ran. I could have flown to Albuquerque, rented a car, and I would just go. So they wanted her to go, and she was pretty much over it. You know, I've given you chances, and I've stood beside you, and now here we are again. And I just felt guilty all the time. And she took me and dropped me off, thinking this will be the last time that he and I are on a plane together, in a car together, whatever. And so she stayed at a bed and breakfast before she flew home. And that next morning, she goes down to the breakfast area. And there was a guy and his wife there. He had been out of the Life Healing Center for 3 years sober. And he was able to tell her his experience. And it gave her hope.
Yeah.
It gave her
she didn't
hope.
have.
No. We tried everything. Yeah. We had just tried everything.
How many relapses had you gone through at that point?
Life Healing Center was number 4.
Wow.
And if I remember right, each of those had blown through more of your savings and.
I mean, Music Cares helped me, but then the rest of it, one time, and I mean, like Healing Center, people helped, but Life Healing Center was a lot of money, and you got to cancel dates.
Yes,
Right.
But she said. Again, I'm trusting my memory on this, but she said that when you came out of Life Healing Center, it was the first time she saw you willing to fight for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's a big statement, Joseph. You've been there too.
Yeah, and I want to say this too about when it comes to our spouses.
Yeah.
One of the first things Russ would tell me when I would call him every day was, "How's Lindsay?
Yeah.
And are you taking care of Lindsay?" And one of the, he told me, he said they didn't sign up for this. Yeah. Like when she married me, she didn't sign on a dotted line. I'm going to marry a liar, and I'm going to marry an addict. I'm going to marry an alcoholic. She just married me, and then it's not really fair to them. Yeah. And I always say, if somebody leaves, if a wife or a husband leaves, just about everybody would understand.
Yeah.
They would get it.
Yes.
Like, okay. Yeah. So to stay is not necessarily the popular thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But boy, I think without her and without Russ, I mean, I'd be dead.
What I love, I love how their wives love them. I love watching Lindsay. Tori's one of my dearest friends. I love how Tori loves Russ. When you watch both Lindsay and Tori, you see what is Christ's love and what we're supposed to do.
They've had to walk through some tough stuff.
They've had to walk through it.
Well, you got to fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Tori said. The only reason she stayed with me, one of the main reasons she stayed with me, she saw how hard I worked to get sober and to stay sober. Yeah. And
wow.
Joseph and I both have sponsored, people. He's probably got 4 or 5 he's sponsoring right now. But you can tell real quick, pretty much who's going to make it, who's not. Yeah. And it's those that are able to be honest with themselves. And after being with him and at Cumberland Heights and taking him out on the road with me, I knew he would get it because he was desperate.
Yeah.
And he wasn't blaming anybody. He wasn't denying it. If he had done this or she had done that, it's like, it's me. It's me, and I knew that he would make it because I watched him from the get-go work his butt off to get sober and stay sober.
So let me ask you another question real quick. Joseph, every night you get up and I think you pull your phone up and you say, as of, and what's the number right now?
Oh man, my app
I
just
love
gave
that he
out.
does
Sorry,
that.
y'all.
I love that he does
It's
this.
4,559 days. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a number, Russ?
I don't have a number. It's 18 and a half years. I don't know how many days that is, but
So here's my question.
That's amazing, Russ. Joseph.
You said four different times you went through something, and when do you start the count?
the last drink you have, the last drug you had.
Every day is a new victory.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like to count. I was taught to count. Some people don't. That's okay too.
Yeah.
I don't judge somebody else's recovery. You know, a lot of times they teach you in the program, you can get a little prideful, even about your sobriety.
Yeah.
So, you have to be careful, I think, because pride's a big part of addiction. It was for me.
So you say you don't want to judge somebody else's sobriety, but there's got, and Lord knows I don't want to name names or go any further with this, except to say there are people not only in our industry but just in our circle of life that you go, man, I know what they're going through.
Yeah.
You've got to see signs that we wouldn't see. Is there a point? You had a lady named Mama June, right? And Mama June was the one person who had earned the right to call you out.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Well, she was basically like a surrogate.
She was surrogate mom.
She was the one who taught you grace, and when she called you out, it got your attention.
I lied to her.
Sure, you tried.
I was horrified that she would even suspect, because they were all so proud of me.
Yeah.
But she, it's interesting because Daddy Bud and Mama June, they adopted me pretty much when I was 17. But there was a friend of theirs that got sober and invited Daddy Bud to go to an AA meeting with him. And this was before. And so they began to learn about alcoholism. They didn't know, before, but so Mom called me and she said, "Can we meet?" And well, sure, we'd have lunch periodically when I was home, and we go to the Arlington Hotel. They have a nice little coffee area there, and we talked and laughed. And where you been? Well, I've been to Europe, yada yada yada. And she said, "Son, I think you have a problem with alcohol." I just, oh man, no, Mom, no, that. And I lied to her with a 6-pack of beer in my trunk.
Wow.
Saying, "No, Mom, I'm good. I have some beer every once in a while." She wouldn't let me off the hook. I kept trying to, and she goes, "No, you have a problem, son. You have a problem." But I would listen to her because I knew that woman loved me.
Yeah.
She loved me, and if
earned
it
the
had been
right.
somebody else, and even Tori could look me in the face, and she knew. What I'd been through, but I didn't even tell Mom I'd been in treatment for a long time because I just, they're proud of you,
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, look at all you've done, and your mom and traveling at 17, making records, and now all of a sudden you're in treatment, and it's like,
The contrast is awful.
Yeah.
Who was your Mama June? Who was that one person who could have called you out and maybe did?
I mean, it would have been Lindsay. And a lot of people don't know this, but I started taking pills right about the time we started dating. So she did not really know me
Any other
sober
way.
until 3 years into our marriage. And so she literally fell in love with me. I fell in love with her while I was under the influence. And that can mess with you too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Because she said things like, "Well, had you not been on drugs, would you have loved me?" And I know that it was a God thing. I mean, you got to imagine God put us together while I was under the influence of drugs.
knew what you would need.
That's
I
unbelievable.
believe that. I believe that.
The
And I
gifts
told-
of God, while we are
While
literally choosing
living in
the opposite thing, He gives you a gift and
Yes.
says,
Let me show you. Yeah.
Because I didn't deserve it. I still don't. But I certainly didn't deserve it then.
Yeah.
Well, it's like for ours, it was like choose addiction or choose me.
Yeah.
I choose you, but I'm an addict.
Yeah.
And it would break her heart every time I would relapse
Yeah.
because you're choosing
Yeah.
addiction over me. And I wasn't. I mean, it was like I would start shaking in the
Yeah.
morning and I'd
Yeah.
start drinking earlier.
It's not
and
that simple.
No, not at all. And it, thank God she was going to Al-Anon a lot to figure out her part and what she could do to get better. But man, I mean, every time I would relapse and that look on her face, it would just be like, why didn't you choose me? Why couldn't you choose me?
I just can't imagine. You guys have been so generous with your time. And I got a few more things I'd love to ask you. And a couple of them are heavy, and then we'll get some light stuff before we bring it into the station.
This has not been heavy at all.
No.
Yeah. If you had to draw your Jesus today, how would he look different from the Jesus that you drew when you went to Life Healing Center? What have you learned about Jesus that?
Well, today I would try to draw muscles around the bone. I would try to put a smiley face on his face, to draw a picture of someone that loves me so much. And it's not just lines, of a higher power, because I didn't think I deserved his love. I just didn't think I deserved his love at all. So I would put muscle, I would put flesh, I would have him with his arms outstretched.
Yes.
Saying, all who are weary and heavy laden, come to me.
Yes.
And that's the picture I would draw today.
Joseph?
The first thing I thought was, I think you'd look a little bit like Russ. It looked a little bit like Lindsay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The people that saved me,
Yeah.
because he saved me.
Yeah.
And he used a lot of people to save me.
So, people that are listening to this, and I remember going one time to, it's a horrible comparison, but I had to go to traffic court. And I was there, and I looked around, and I see a bunch of our gospel music people there as well. And the more I find out that people are struggling with stuff that I can't relate to, but our prayer is that they're listening to this interview. What do you say to them? They know what they're fighting with. No one else knows. What do you say to them?
You know what I always say? Somebody asked me what you would say to an addict. And Russ probably taught me this too, but one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to say it out loud.
Yeah.
When you're hiding it.
I believe that, Joseph.
And if you just go to somebody, one person,
yeah.
and say, man, I think I got a problem.
You trust.
See, what happens is, from my opinion, is you take something from the darkness. This is hard to do. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. This is hard.
It is.
But if you take something from the darkness and put it into the light, it loses power.
I believe it.
The darkness goes away. So I think words are powerful. I think honesty, but I'm going to say it again. It's one of the hardest things you can ever do in active addiction is to say, I'm an addict. Yeah.
I remember the first time I heard you say the numbers of days and just this gigantic applause. I think it was one of the Dove Awards. And you said that and the place just erupted. And I was thinking about 20 years ago what they would have done.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
You're right, Russ.
And I was like, who do I tell?
Yeah.
Who do I tell? Who can I trust?
Yeah.
To let them know. And that's why I think it was Mama June.
Yeah.
She didn't want anything from me. She didn't make any money from me. But
we were in such a religious, and there again, I go back, I look at those early days when an artist got divorced. You'd see them.
Amy and Sandy.
Amy, Sandy. Reba was one of the first ones.
another one.
And booed off the stage at an Imperials concert.
Yeah.
And record burning, people didn't know. You didn't. Who could you trust?
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, it just where
It-
it's
and,
at
and
today.
I'm thankful. And I told Joseph, I've learned more about grace from Dusty Wells. How I've watched him
I agree.
treat people with grace. And I've never heard anything judgmental, and I want to be like that. I want to.
But when you work with artists, you got to have a lot of grace.
No, but you know what? I think I do. I was thinking about this. Man, this has been powerful. You too. I think about where he picked me up from.
Yeah.
And the first thing he did was he used music to where I'm at today, 53, 50, whatever years it is. That music, even in your most broken places,
Yeah.
Joseph, even as a 17, 18-year-old kid, you struggle with that, you're still God uses. I hope everybody who listens to this, because this isn't just about addiction. I have my own story. I know things I had to walk through and deal with, but it's what you said. You find that person that you can trust and you can talk to, and you admit, you know what, I have an issue.
And until you do,
You're going to be.
you write it down.
You write it down.
The songs that you
Yep,
wrote,
yep.
Russ, during your darkest days.
I still believe.
I mean, I cried, and
yeah,
you just you wrote about stuff that it's easy to go back and say, "Well, I get it now," but all we knew then was you were just this amazing singer. None of us knew you were hurting.
Yeah,
Yeah. I never drank around anyone.
yeah.
Nobody knew. And the difference between alcohol and pills, you couldn't smell his breath. I mean, there were times I would have to be in the elevator.
Mine was eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes. You know, you can usually tell with pills is eyes, but you're right. You can't. It's
That's
easier to
funny.
hide.
But the thing, it's like people can look, well, you guys are addicts and this and that, but we all
Every
are
person.
struggling,
Yes.
and we all need Jesus.
Absolutely.
We all
Exactly
need
right.
Jesus.
And man, I'd love. We get emails. We get a lot of emails from this. I would love to see some people send me their picture of their Jesus. And I think
me
that's
too.
a powerful
That's
thing.
so powerful. I mean, it's made me want to go. How do I?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go drop my Jesus.
So
and we
there's
leave here.
a couple of funny things that we'll lighten this up before we say
Let
goodbye.
me say this one thing
Yes.
before we do.
Yes.
The reason we are both sitting here right now, and we take younger ones and we continue to pour ourselves into them, and then they will pour them into other younger ones.
Yep.
But it's like what I've heard, and I really like it. It's like we recover out loud,
Yeah.
so others won't die in silence.
Wow. Say it again.
We recover out loud, so others won't die in silence.
Wow.
But that's why we do what we do.
And we know, and we all know people who
That's
died in
heavy
silence.
stuff.
We know people who died in silence.
Literally, when I leave this podcast, I'm going to a dinner with
Yes.
a kid who just lost his dad
Come on, Joseph.
to, an overdose a week and a half ago.
Oh, Jesus.
And I reached out to him and said, if you ever need me, you know, and he said, can I go to dinner?
Oh, that's good.
And
That's what it's
know,
about.
there's nowhere else I'm supposed to be today.
That's what.
And
Well,
God,
and you won't judge his daddy.
no,
You know.
you've been there.
God puts us right where we need to be at the place in our story. So we have a little there's an ongoing joke on this program of that Dusty. We have a timer how long he goes before he mentions the Rambos, and he'll get me for how long he goes
Yeah.
before I mention the Spears.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a Spear connection here, and there's a Rambo one I want to bring up before we leave.
Okay.
Do you remember the very first song that you sang with the Imperials?
The very first?
First concert, first song that you ever sang.
Oh,
with.
it was, I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary.
No way.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they wanted me to do Sherman songs, and I didn't want to be compared to him.
Yeah.
So Dave took them, Jim took them, because I knew people would be comparing me. So I asked Garmin, let me do,
He looked me on my phone.
He looked beyond my faults,
that
and I
awesome?
sang that every night till our record came out.
Okay, I did not know that, and that makes me very, very happy. And Dottie, I know it makes you very
I
happy.
thought that.
But let me tell you, one of the
that.
funniest things that Russ Taff did to Dottie Rambo, and then I want to hear the spear thing.
All right.
I'll never forget one of the Gaither tapings. Dottie was kind of crippled up in those. And we were going upstairs. I don't know if you remember this. It was in Indianapolis at the embassy. We were going upstairs, and there was not an elevator. And Dottie was climbing the stairs. I'll never forget this. She was holding on. I was standing there with her, and Russ was right behind. He said, "Dottie, you can move faster. If there was a royalty check up there, you'd be up there all the way." And I'm telling you what, she picked her feet up. She said, "You bet." Because she
funny.
loved Russ Taff, and they would joke
That's
back and
pretty
forth.
funny.
Do you remember that?
That's awesome.
Anyway.
All right, so here's the spear connection.
Okay.
1983.
It's before I was born, everybody. That's why I'm not a part of this.
Yeah, but you'll appreciate the history here. I'm here to school you.
Yes, sir.
All right. 1983, there was a Christian music night at Six Flags over Texas, and Spears played that.
Which is crazy.
Russ Taff was there that night. Do you remember what you sang that night for the very first time?
I don't.
Six Flags over Texas.
Okay.
We Will Stand.
Oh, really?
Was that the first time
First
you sang
time
it?
you ever sang that publicly.
Wow.
Was that night?
I'll be.
That's crazy. Do you have any recollection of that? Or were you drunk?
Well, no, I was sober that night. I was back on the bus waiting for me. I tell you, the Six Flags, I don't know if it's the same time you're talking about, was the first time that an audience sang my song back to me.
Wow.
It's the first time we were at Six Flags in Dallas.
Wow.
And I went to You're My Brother, You're My... And there were 6,000 people that started singing it. And I backed up. I'd never heard that before.
Oh, my God.
And I got cold chill. It was like they're singing my song. But I've seen it happen to other big artists. Not that I was big, but I mean, you know, you're at a Paul Simon concert, you just start singing it. But they started singing that, and I stepped back, and I got tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
It was like, wow.
So that story, I obviously didn't know that. I saw that story in your book, and I thought, I was there that night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very
Isn't that cool?
That is very
One other quick, funny Russ Taff story, and then we'll shut this down.
I have lots of Joseph stories I could tell.
Yeah,
I know.
We're good. Let's talk about
I'm
Russ.
just
That's
joking.
another episode. So I wrote for 40 years with a guy named Don Cook.
Sure.
And Don and I, it just worked. We sat in the room with Joseph many a time. And in the early 80s, I had just met Don, and I just come off the road with Spears, and Don had just come off the road with Jeff Moore. So it was two different musical worlds.
Right.
And Don told me that I was going to have to dress hipper if I was going to make it. And I told this story at the Bluebird.
He didn't listen.
I did not listen. And I'm still pretty conservative.
Obviously.
But the hottest record on the planet was called Metals.
Yeah.
So we weren't making a lot of money, but I wanted to have a career in this thing. So I gave Don my royalties one quarter to go and shop for me. And he brought me back the closest thing he could get to the Metals cover, only it was bright yellow.
That's the Miami Vice era, though. That's the Miami Vice era. Yeah.
And that thing hung in my closet.
Did you ever wear it?
No, I went to San Francisco on a trip, and I thought, well, I'll wear it out there. Nobody would know
for
me.
San Francisco.
And I could not even put it on because it was not me at all. But
Oh, my
when I walked
gosh.
into the museum and I saw that Metals coat, I thought, yeah, Don would love that. That was history.
That was history. Yeah.
And my yellow coat was in my own little museum.
That is so.
Thank you. This has just been awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. And I'm a huge fan of both of you. And
Can I say
you
something
guys are
about
both
Dusty?
yeah,
And it's a good thing. Dusty, he is like a kid at a candy shop when it gets around Christian music.
Yeah.
After all of these years, 40 plus years, he still is excited. And I was watching him when we played Station Inn, and he was like a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's just it invigorates me. I want to
Sure.
be more that way, to where it's fresh and it's alive, and I don't know. I want to be more like you. Sometimes I feel like I've just kind of lost the shine.
The
but
hair
you
will have to go
always-
first.
Yeah.
No, I wish I had both of their hair. I
No,
really-
but you I don't know. You're infectious when I get around you. You're
you
just
guys are-
infectious.
what I love to say about these are that these are my friends. These
Yeah.
are they're even more so than that. Their music is my best friends. They don't know the nights. I can't wait to get in my car and listen to one of my favorite Joseph songs that he doesn't care for, and he knows what it is.
I do.
But then I can't wait to hear "I Still Believe" again.
Yes.
I still believe.
Mm-hmm.
This invigorate.
I
It
put the
invigorates me.
medals thing on today just as I was getting ready to come over here just to listen again, and that was pretty edgy stuff for me back in that day. But this is why
We love to tell the
why
stories.
we love to tell the story.
And keep
Thank
sharing
you
your
both so
hearts.
much.
Thank you.
You two are
And
my
I want-
favorites.
I want to say how proud I am of Joseph.
Yeah.
I mean, I did my best to reach my generation.
Yes, you did.
But Joseph
Yeah.
is affecting so many young people across this country. His story, his singing, his writing,
Yeah.
and he's having such a powerful impact. And I believe God keeps giving him
believe that.
a bigger platform to keep telling the story to more people.
And that's just for his
more
ego.
people. Yeah. But I am so proud of him. I mean,
Yes.
I
We
am
are.
just
Yeah,
so proud
we
of
love
him.
Joseph.
Thank you, Russ. If it wasn't for Russ, I probably wouldn't have a career. I mean, just I would be dead. So thank you for saving my life, and thank you for every time I call him to do something like this or Station Inn, or he just says, "Yeah, let's do it." And there's a
That's
million
what I-
places he could either, he could
When
be.
he told me he drove in from Champaign, Illinois, by himself,
Yeah, my
3 days.
piano player couldn't go. Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Well,
it blows my mind.
I felt bad because we canceled. We had to cancel.
because you were sick.
were sick,
I was sick, but I was like, man,
There's
yeah,
another 2 or 3 hours we could do about Imperial's history. And I love all
We've
those.
got to do all that. Again.
I love all
Yeah.
those pieces, but tonight I felt a heaviness
Yeah.
that we needed to go.
And I know
where we
people are
went.
going to be touched by this. Not just addicts of drugs, alcohol, a lot of other stuff that people are going on.
well, we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and He consistently reminds us every time He opens His mouth. We talk about, and you guys too, a loving God that cares, that will go right down into the mud hole and get us and pull us out. And He's not afraid to get muddy Himself, and so I am just I don't know how to explain how God has given Joseph more and more and more of a platform to keep lifting up a Jesus that will pull you out. I'm just so proud of him.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of him.
I'm proud
Thank
of
you,
you both.
Russ.
Thank you
It means
guys
the
so
world.
much.
Thank you all for having us.